See, no audio yet. That is why I start early. Thank you, Amani. We had to try that. I appreciate you and welcome. I'm so glad you are here. I know I started a little early, but that's so we could go ahead and get right into it and I could fix those technical things. So, Amani, since you are the first one here, is there anything in particular you wanted me to go over? Hey, Carl. Hey, and we are back. Yes, audio now. Remember, there's going to be math a little bit towards the end. I'm going to do that. But yeah, otherwise, we're just going to go through our regular questions. But oh, I just wish there was like instant, like no delay. That would help. Hey, Val, you're back. Boom, shakalaka laka boom. I'm so glad you're back. I'm glad to hear that you're okay and you've got this. Please let me know if I can be of any assistance. Oh, we got people coming into the Zoom room too. That is perfect. We love that. So remember, if this is your first time watching the recording, yes, you are watching on YouTube, but I stream it live to YouTube. And there are some students that are live with me in Zoom. And that can be for you if you want to ask me specific questions, you want to be more involved in the conversation. So there you go. All right. Hey, Elena and Amani, nothing in particular. All right. Well, then we're just going to go over the basics. Hey, Caroline, I am so glad that you are here with me. And I think, as let's see, I think we're good. I think we're good. Let me share my screen and let's share the sound. And I think now, yep, you can see my screen and I can see what's going on here. And am I forgetting anything? Nope, I think we're good. I think we are good. Let me pull up the chat here. Oops, y'all didn't need to see that. That is the chat in Zoom. And then I've got a chat in YouTube. I think we're ready to go. I think we are ready to rock and roll through this. Yay. Oh, can I send you the Zoom link? So you all need to email me. I would not mind giving you the Zoom link, but it won't let me do it through the chat, right? So for Wednesday, if you email me, once you have the Zoom room link, it's fine. Hey Caroline, I got your message. It's fine. It's the same Zoom room every single time. And I'm not going to send it to you now, but if you email me before Wednesday, then you'll have it and you can just join me on Wednesday. So, all right, let's get to it with question number 32. The federal government wants to build a dam on the Sawtooth River. Before the Army Corps of Engineers can proceed, what must they file? All right. So the federal government wants to build a dam on the Sawtooth River. Before the Army Corps of Engineers can proceed, what must they file? Is it a list of endangered species on the site? B, two alternative building plans, C, environmental impact statement, or D, environmental rehabilitation plan. You know what, Elena? I did not see that email. Email me again and put like what do you call them? Exclamation marks in the email. Just I might have accidentally missed it, but yes, I will go ahead and I will email you that. All right. So anybody have a guess to what we think it is? I think this is a pretty good question because some states you all have to go a little bit more into this kind of concept of the environment and some you don't. But if you're going to go into real estate, commercial, or development, you're going to learn a lot about this. hmm All right. So
I think
Amani
it's
says,
C.
you think it's C? You know
Yes.
what, Caroline? I think it's C too. Now we do have three B's and we have the C, but two alternative building plans. Mm, no, that's not going to be it. It sounds like a good idea. Like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, what are your alternatives? But what we want is C, environmental impact plan. That's why it wouldn't work out. if you have the environmental impact statement, well, basically you go through and whoever's doing the development or doing the project, you've got to tell the EPA, is this going to have a negative impact on the area? So, yes, you need an environmental impact statement. Our answer is C. We love it. Yay! It is C. Good job, y'all. Good job. Good job. All right, let's move on to number 33. Good job, Caroline. And let's see if we can get it all on one page. Mm. One more. There we. Nope. Okay. If that's too small, let me know. Oh, wait, what did that say? Prefer to scroll vertically. Switch to the app to customize. I got nothing on that. I don't know. I got nothing. So, which of the following is discrimination based on the basis of familial status? Which of the following is discrimination on the basis of familial status? Is it A, refusal to rent to a husband and wife over 60? Is it B, refusal to rent to Korean husband and wife? C, refusal to rent to an African American husband and wife and the man's mother? Or D, refusal to rent to a gay couple with 2-year-old twins? Hmm. Now, I'll talk about why I'm not a huge fan of this question, but what are you thinking the answer is? Now, Elena says D. All right. And this, when we get a question like this, I don't think it's a very well written question because it doesn't go into a lot of detail. Right. So, Elena, you're saying D, but let me tell you what I mean by it's not going into a lot of detail. I mean, like, well, first, let's talk about the definition of familial status. Familial status, when we're talking about fair housing, is whether there are or there aren't children, people under 18. If you tell somebody, oh, you can't rent here or you can't live here because you have kids, or you can't rent or live here because you don't have kids, that is discrimination based off of familial status. A lot of people get it confused with marital status, but it is not. It is not marital status. It's about the presence of children. So we know the answer is D because of that. It's the only one that even talks about children. However, refusal to rent to a husband and wife over 60, I I mean age is not a what do you call it? Is not a protected class. Good God, I'm trying to think of what the word is. It's not a protected class, but you got to be careful. Refusal to rent to a Korean husband and wife, like, are you just refusing to rent to people who are married, or are you not renting to them because the person is Korean? Refusing to rent to an African American husband and wife and the man's mother, like, is it because there's three people in a one-bedroom apartment? Or is it because they're African American? I think this question needs to be fleshed out some more, but the answer is definitely D. Yes, and Carl said it, it's familial equals kids or pregnancy. It's not about your marital status. But of all the things we could talk about, guys, and all the things you learn in this class, remember when it comes to fair housing discrimination, it is not about what you said or did. It is about what you said or did and how it made the other person feel. So you may have turned down the gay couple renting with 2-year-old twins, and not because they're gay or because they have 2-year-old twins. Maybe you turned them down because their credit's not good. I don't know. But with fair housing, it's about what somebody perceives. Now, if you have a valid reason, like the credit's not good, that's fine. You're just going to need to prove it if they have a complaint. So there you go. All right, let's do number 34. And see if I can. No, okay. 34 does not want to play this game with us today. Ugh, come on, 34. Come on, 34. No, no. Oh, okay. I got nothing. We might have to skip 34. Okay, there we go. There's 34. Sorry, guys. That's what happens with free. First National Bank provides the Jamars a mortgage to buy their house. At the closing, the Jamars sign the mortgage and the what? So First National Bank provides the James with a mortgage to buy their house. At the closing, the Jamar sign the mortgage and is it A, the note, B, the title, C, the deed, or D, the commission check to the broker? Ooh, this is a good one. Do we know the difference between note, title, and deed? Hey, Juana, nice to see you here today. So we got note, we got title, we got deed. I think everybody can eliminate D. It's not commission check to the broker, right? I mean, probably not, right? You're probably not going to be signing that check. Don't think that's the answer. The question is it a note, is it a title, or deed? Now, I've got some A's. What is the difference? What is the note? When they say note, what does that mean? Title is the evidences of ownership. So, kind of, Elena. So, let's think of it this way. B and C are related and they're often confused. Title is the right to ownership because you can have title to a house, you can have title to a car, you can have ownership of these things. You can have title to something, to a boat, to a motorcycle. But when we're talking specifically about the ownership or title of a piece of real property, the document you use to transfer that title, that is a deed. And it is the evidence that the title was transferred. It's how you can prove you own it. The number one point of a deed is to transfer title, and then we use it to prove that somebody's the owner. But if we're thinking about this, the Jamars are the buyers. They aren't transferring title to anybody. The persons that would need to sign a deed to transfer title would be the sellers, not the Jamars, the buyers, leaving us with only one answer, the note, the promissory note. As you all can hear in the background, my cat is having a fit today. Come on, kitten. So, the promissory note is the answer. A promissory note comes with a mortgage because, yes, remember, you don't go to get a mortgage, you go to give a mortgage. You're giving a collateral document, a document that says, hey, bank, you can sell my house if I don't pay you back. And the note is what creates the debt. Love it. Hey, love that. Whoop. All right, let's do our next one. Oh, there's got to be a better way to do this. 35. But come on, Candace, you can do it. All right, there we go. 35. The straight line method of measuring depreciation is best used to measure what? The straight line method of measuring depreciation is best used to measure, is it A, physical deterioration, B, functional obsolescence, C, economic obsolescence, or D, external obsolescence? Ooh, hmm. This one is making me think just as a teacher, the straight line method of measuring depreciation is best used to measure physical deterioration, functional obsolescence, economic obsolescence, or external obsolescence. Okay. Okay. So, what do I know when I think about it? Amani said E. I don't even know. Amani said I got nothing on this one. Straight line method. I I don't know. Oof. This one is hard. When does the title get signed or do we not sign the title? You get confused on the topic. Carl, I will come back to that. I will come back, Carl. Don't let me forget. So, Grace, you say it's A. It's a way of measuring depreciation best used to measure physical deterioration. Okay, so, oof, this is hard. Me, B maybe as a guess. I could almost make an answer for all of this. So, what we know, and let's come back here. What we know is, boom, and let me bring this bigger. We know that when it comes to the cost, we talk about the cost method of figuring out value. First, you rebuild it. And here, let me make it so you can see my mouse. Boom. First, you rebuild, then you price it, then you depreciate it. And generally, the breakdown method has the physical deterioration, the functional obsolescence, and the economic obsolescence. The age straight life method, well, that goes through and says, hey, we're losing value for each year. We're just doing a straight, almost like Kelly Blue Book. We're just basically saying for every year this exists, you're losing value. So when we look at these answer choices, physical deterioration, functional obsolescence, economic obsolescence, well, I mean, those kind of go with the breakdown method. Okay, I think this is what I would do. So again, I don't know. Yes, I'm with you, Amani and Elena. Economic and external obsolescence can be used interchangeably. So that can't be the answer. Some states use the word external obsolescence, some states use economic obsolescence, but you can't choose between the two because they're the same. So I'm not going to go with C or D. That leaves me with A or B. And guys, like I would be guessing this too if this was if this was me. I'm like, oof. I'm going to go with A. And this is why. I don't know if it's the answer, but functional obsolescence means it might be out of date. Well, usually the straight line method would be for some type of commercial property. I mean, yes, you could like warehouses and things like that. And how is a warehouse out of date? The function of the item, if it's an office building, it functions. Whereas physical deterioration, as the years go by, there's normal wear and tear. So every year you lose value just because the property is sitting there out in space. So that is my guess. I am so not sure, but that's my guess. Yes, functional obsolescence is like a one bedroom home with four bedrooms, which would be fine if we were talking about residential. And functional obsolescence is inside the property line. Yeah. So I'm going to go with A, physical deterioration. Guys, fingers crossed. I really don't know if that's the answer. I'm nervous too. If this had been the real test, I would be like, oh. Caroline, what do you think it is?
This one is definitely hard. I don't know. I knew that C and D were kind of the same.
Yeah.
Um, Functional obsolescence is like a four bedroom, one bath, and I don't think that that's anything to do with the straight line method. So I'm thinking maybe physical deterioration with you
I
guys.
Yeah, I think it's got to be A, guys. Let's see. Ooh, I gotta go take a look at the answer choice. It's over here. Pull it up. This is number 35. It is A. It is A. We guessed correctly. We got it right. We got it right. Hey, we got it right. Do a little dance, do a little dance, do a little dance, do a little dance. Hey, hey,
I'm
hey,
doing the
hey,
dance with
hey.
you.
Oh, you should dance with me. That is a true dance because I wasn't sure if I was going to be like, oh, guys, we were wrong. Let's figure out why we are wrong. I was not sure. So, mm, man, that one was hard. Whew. Yeah, we got it. It's okay. It's okay, Amani. I mean, we learned something on this. Okay, let's do our next one. I think we can make this smaller and make it fit. There we go. The Hamids have bought several plots of land from different owners in order to create a lot large enough for a 10,000 square foot home they intend to build. The process of combining lots is known as what? Ooh. Is it A, best use? Gosh darn it, I was supposed to go over that thing with Carl. I will come back to it. A, best use. B, plottage. C, plat. Or D, special use. Love questions like this because this is just vocab. This is just straight vocab. Now let's eliminate some things. And this is why, even if you don't know the definition of every single word, guys, if you can categorize it and know like what chapter it kind of belongs to, this would help. So, like starting with answer D, special use. Well, that has to do with land use controls. A special use permit is when, you've got the zoning and they say, hey, this is supposed to be residential, but we'll allow daycares. Just come check in with us first. So it's not special use. Has to do with zoning. Wrong topic. A plat is a subdivision map. Well, this isn't a subdivision. They've put the lots into one. That's the subdivision is when you have a big piece of land and you put it in lots of different lots and then you sell it to people. Like, no, that's the opposite. It's not a plat. You've got plottage, which when I think of plottage, it's the idea that when you have two items and you put them together, they're worth more together than if they were separately. But it's about combining lots, and I like that. And then best use is not really a term I would have used. Highest and best use. We talked about highest and best use, I think on Wednesday, was it? Or I talk about this stuff all the time, guys. I don't know, but it's the idea that it's the use that's most profitable, that's legal, all of that. So best use isn't even the term. It's highest and best use. So that's not right. We got to go with plottage, I think. I think it's plottage. And what am I saying? I think I know it's plottage. I don't need to check the answer. The answer is B, plottage. Nice job, Amani, Valerie, Juana, and Carl. Nice. All right, Carl, before I go too far, you had asked me a question. You said, when does the title get signed or do we not sign the title? You get confused on this topic. So I think for this, I know, I'm going to say it. I'm going to draw. I'm sorry. But we call that sketch noting. And guys, if you can draw stuff out, it actually is a proven way to help it get stuck in your brain some more. So just saying, it's an option out there. If you're like, oh, I could draw this out. If you can draw it out and make it make sense, you probably know it. All right. And I'm going to stop my video so that you don't get there we go. So what would I say when it comes to this? Well, there's a house, right? And this house has title. And if you want to transfer title, obviously it starts with a seller, starts with this seller, and they use a deed to give the title to the buyer, right? The house is in place. The house doesn't move. It's stuck. The deed, and that looks like the word dead, doesn't it? Let's fix that. The deed transfers title. So it's like this title goes this way, goes this way, goes this way, goes this way, goes this way. So now the buyer has title. The deed is what transfers title to the buyer. And we know we have our essential elements of a deed. And one of those things is that it needs to be signed by the grantor. So that's usually going to be a warranty deed. The seller signs this warranty deed that transfers title. The house didn't move, but ownership of the house went to the buyer. And then if you're in a title theory state, that buyer is going to transfer title to a trust on behalf of the bank. So then the buyer signs a deed of trust, which gives title to the bank. And then what the buyer keeps is equitable title. Does this help? Did that help you just a little bit, Carl? Let me know. There you go. Does that, let me know, Carl. And I hate that there's a delay, but Caroline, did that make sense? Did my drawing make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yay. Sometimes I'm just like, what? Who? Do I even make sense? I don't know. So just remember, guys, title versus deed. Those are two separate things. Perfect, Carl. Love it. And guys, just because I'm drawing things out, I want to remind you, if this was a lien theory state, then this buyer would have given, they keep title. It says title. You just can't tell. And the bank just gets the right to foreclose. They literally just get a lien. So the buyer keeps the title in a lien theory state. All the bank gets is a lien on the property. We know it's a specific lien. They get a specific lien on the property, which is why it is also a judicial foreclosure. This idea that I just went over, judicial foreclosure, specific liens, the idea of a lien, a trust and a trustee, the ability to link all these words together is going to help you so much. Remember, I like to think of all of these vocab words, y'all, like a puzzle piece. There's not a single word, vocab word, that doesn't relate somehow to the big puzzle piece of real estate. And if you can tell me where does the puzzle piece go and how does it relate to everything going around it, that tells me you understand it. So, yay. Quick question. What are mills and do they automatically mean divide by 1,000? Great question, Amani. I know I talked about this the other day. A mill has to do with taxes. And we use it as like a rate of how we figure out taxes. Now, by definition, a mill is equal to 1/10 of 1 cent. So if you put in your calculator, hey, I've got 1 penny, and if I divided it into 10, what is the value there? Like, what is that value? Just like if you have 10 cents, if you have a dime, and you divide it by 10, you get a penny because that penny is worth 1 cent. Imagine there was a coin that made up pennies. That would be a mill. And a mill is, they would take 10 mills to make up a penny. So that means the value of a mill is 0.001. It would take 1,000 mills to make $1. So yes, because this is the 10th place, that's the 100th place, this is the 1,000th place. When you get these problems, just divide something by 1,000. Now, even if you're in California, you should still know what a mill is. So yes, Amani, I automatically tell people when you're doing the math, divide by 1,000. But I've also had practice exam questions and even, just people coming to me, they might say, what is the value of 8 mills? Well, 8 mills would be 8 times 0.001. Like you should know. So that'd be 0.008. You should know that a mill is worth this. So great question, Amani. Love it. All right, let's go on to our next question. Let me go back here and we're on number 37. Share a different screen. Boop. There you go. 37. Which of the following is not required in a listing agreement? A price, a signature of the broker, commission, or a form of termination? Which of the following is not required in a listing agreement? So this tells us 3 of these things are required in a listing agreement, and one of them is not. You need a price, a signature of the broker, a commission, or form of termination. One of those things is not necessary. And this one's kind of tricky. I don't, ooh. Anybody got a clue? All right. B, signature broker. Amani says D, termination, form of termination. Amani says now it's no, you changed it to B. Ooh, yeah. La, 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 la. Okay. Again,
This one's
I
a
don't,
hard one.
it is a hard one. And here's what I can tell y'all. is that my guess is a question like number 37 in this kind of format probably wouldn't be on the test because it's too gray. It's too gray. I could make an argument for both A or D being the answer or B. So I say this because let me start with B. Well, let's start with C. We know C, if it's a listing agreement, it needs to talk about the commission. Otherwise, I'm not doing this for free. All right. So we know it's not C. B, signature of the broker. Well, I'm thinking about the fact that I don't know. In every state, the broker is not always the person that signs, right? But most states you do. I'm going to assume you do need a signature of the broker because the person's hiring the broker. I'm making an assumption that there could be a salesperson, but let's assume it was just a broker because I mean, there's got to be a broker somewhere. So B is not the answer. I don't think it's signature broker. I don't think it's commission. Then I have A, price, and then D, form of termination. So price. Are they talking about a listing price or like the sales price? Are they talking about price like in value? Or are they talking about the listing price? Like what point do you want to put it on? I mean, I kind of think you need a listing price for it. That's my guess. But then form of termination, what do they mean by form of termination? Doesn't this thing have to have an expiration date? I mean, I know in my states, most states in Michigan and in North Carolina, you got to have a termination date. You talk about what would terminate, like, hey, if there's a material breach, I'm going to go, I think with price, I'm thinking of valuation. When I think of price, I think, oh, there's a difference between the value, the market value, and the price. I think I am digging too deep into it. I think there has to be a listing price. I know there has to be a broker somewhere, somebody's signing it. I know there has to be a commission. I think form of termination. I, I'm gonna go with D against my. It does, right? It does have to have a listing date, form of termination. I don't like any of these. If A means listing price, there has to be a listing price. I mean, I guess you could have an open. It's either A or D. I'm gonna chalk this up to remember that these questions are free and we get what we pay for. So I'm gonna go with D just because I think price, they mean a listing price, and I think you can't have a listing if you haven't agreed how much you're going to put it on the market for. I don't know. Y'all have honestly heard my talk through. It could very well be D. Let me see. 37, dear baby Jesus, it is D. Whew. It is D, but I don't love that answer. I will be honest, I don't love that answer. Elena, I was 50-50 with the price. The only reason is because when I say price, well, it's a price, not a value, and I had to add more to it. But I also had to remember this is a national test, so maybe there's a state that doesn't have a requirement for an end date. I I, I don't know. I don't love that. I
Maybe
don't love that
because
at
they're
all.
missing the termination date on the question.
Because what's not required is a form of termination. I think it's just a
Yes.
bad question. Thank you, the Caroline. I
I don't know.
I don't know
Just a
either,
thought.
but it's
Anyways,
good to
I
talk
gotta
through it.
go.
Okay, ma'am. I will see you next time.
Okay, bye. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Monty, that was hard. I don't like you that question whatsoever. That's the big poo. That's the big pill. All right. Let's do number 38. The use of a property that predates zoning that would make the use illegal is known as what? The use of the property that predates zoning would make the use illegal is known as what? It's just listing, it's not selling, so maybe it doesn't need a termination date. I see you, Amani. I I don't love that question. That one goes in my thumbs down pile. The use of a property that predates zoning that would make the use illegal is known as, again, this is a vocab question. Is it a conditional use? Is it a non-conforming use? Is it a non-conventional use? Or is it an accessory use? I think y'all know this one. Oh, Elena says B. Carl says B. Well, conditional use and non-conventional use, accessory use, I think we can throw out the window. Non-conventional is a word that I relate to mortgages. Remember, a conventional loan is one that is not backed by the government. So it is either it's going to be not FHA, not VA, not USDA. A non-conventional loan is one that is backed by the government. I had to make sure I said that right. So that has to do with finance. I don't think it's C either. The question is it A or B? And you all, I see you wanted there. B is the right answer. It is non-conforming use. Great job. Love that. Oh, I love that for us. Yay. Oh, 39 is math. We're going to skip the math right now. I'm going to do that in a little bit. Let's do 42. Which of the following statements is not true about dual agency? Which of the following statements is not true about dual agency? So once again, we got 3 things that are going to be true and 1 thing that is going to be false. So let's take a look here. Let's just take them step by step to see, is A true or false? Is B true or false? Is C true or false? Or is D true or false? So A, conflict of interest is inherent in a dual agency arrangement. Oh, that's true. We understand that there's a conflict of interest in all dual agency, like just plain dual agency. That's why it is illegal in some states. So I mean, unless you all have questions, I think we can pretty much safely, very, very, very safely rule out A. That is a true statement. Okay. What about B? In a dual agency, one broker or agent represents both parties in a real estate sale. Yeah, that sounds about like the definition of dual agency to me. C, dual agency is illegal in all 50 states. Well, I know that to be false. That is not true. There are some states where dual agency is illegal. They might practice designated, but they illegal to practice dual. And some of those states have transactional brokers, right? So right now, C is looked at as the false one. And then you got D. Dual agency must be disclosed to both parties in a real estate sale. I mean, I've not read all laws of all states, but I'm pretty sure in the states that you can practice dual agency, you must disclose it. And that undisclosed dual agency is going to be a big problem for whoever gives you your license, whether it's a board or a commission or oh no. So I'm going to have to say the answer is C. I think you all are going with the answer C too, because that's the right answer. Right? Good job. Good job, y'all. I love it. All right, 43. Obedience, loyalty, confidentiality, and honest accounting are known as what type of duties of the agent to the principal? Obedience, loyalty, confidentiality, honest accounting are known as what kind of duties of the agent to the principal? Y'all better get this one right. Is it A, fiduciary, B, agency, C, transactional, or D, bundle? Seriously, bundle? Bundle? This is where you get questions like this and you just go, hey, easy question, easy point. Yeah, I see y'all. Of course the answer is A, fiduciary. I knew you all need that. That was a gimme. But you know what? That gimme is a pass. That passing, that's still a right answer. I'll take it. And think about this. Before you started studying, you might not have known the answer to that question. It's just proof that you have learned a bundle deal, right? Makes me think of like I went to McDonald's and got the bundle. I don't know. What actually makes me think of going to White Castles and getting a bundle. So a bundle of duties, right? I like it. All right, next one. Oop, that's math. Let's do 40. Let's do 46. I'm not even going to try to play with it. 46. The cost approach to property appraisal includes what? The cost approach to property appraisal includes. So think back. We looked at the cost approach on the, we had it on my screen where first you rebuild and then you price it and then you depreciate it. So think about it. When you read the questions, it's okay to try to answer it in your head first. Let's see what we got. Give me more of these questions. Yeah, they're different questions. They're not the same old ones that, I mean, I definitely know that when I was doing this for the other company, sometimes we just went over the same questions over and over again. And my goal is to always have new questions for you all. I mean, maybe in a year or two, I might have to start redoing questions, but I'm going to keep trying to find. I mean, with ChatGPT, I should be able to always have new questions. All right. The cost approach to property appraisal includes, is it A, the value of land plus the cost to build the improvements new, less depreciation of the improvements? Is it B, the value of land plus the cost to build the improvements new, less appreciation of the improvements? Is it C, the value of land less depreciation of the improvements? Or is it D, the value of land plus the cost to build the improvements originally, less depreciation? Now, this is one of those, the devil is in the details. Oh man, all of these answer choices are so close. But if you can find the difference in all of these, you should be good. So I'm going to try something I don't normally do, which is annotating on my screen. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's try it. So what we know is that these answers all have the value of land, value of land, value of land, value of land. Well, C is the only one that doesn't have a plus. It says the value of land less the depreciation of the improvements. And I think we can eliminate that one because you got to have the value of the improvement like itself. You can't depreciate something that you didn't give value to begin with. So we know it's not C. What's the difference between A and B? Well, this is less depreciation. Let me actually undo that one. Boop. Clear this one. Nope. Okay. Well, it's just the same color. This says less depreciation and this says less appreciation. Well, you don't take away appreciation. This is wrong. It's not B. And this one says the value of land plus the cost to build the improvement originally less depreciation. So the difference here is between new and originally. And I know it's the cost now. I know that this is the cost now. That's what we're doing. So, it's not the value of the land plus to build the cost. Well, no, it's the cost of what would it would take now. So here's why, guys. Let me get out of this here. So when we talk about, and let me clear the drawings, the cost approach, you're going to rebuild. And when you rebuild, a reproduction is exact. What would it cost to reproduce it today? I always give the example of in my dad's house, which is more than 100 years old, you would have to price out somebody who could do plaster work. It's today's price or today's price for replacing with just drywall. So yeah, it's not the original cost. And here we go. Let me write again. It's not the original cost of what it would take to rebuild. It's what it would be to make it new today. So the answer is A. And Valerie, improvements can depreciate. It's land doesn't depreciate. Land does not depreciate. That's why it all of them says the value of land and then something else. Also, there you go. Does this kind of clear that up for everybody? I think this was a great question because it was detailed. The devil is in the details, and we got to understand the cost approach. So I know the answer is A. Yay for the answer being A. Woohoo, that is our answer. That's correct. But I want to make sure everybody feels comfortable with it. I just want to make sure everybody's like, okay, that makes sense to me. All right, we have about 15 minutes left or so. And I know, yes, on a Wednesday, good, Awana, you see now why it's A. On Wednesday, somebody asked me to do math. Do I still have somebody here today that wants me to do some math? I know Elena's going to say she wants me to do discount points. I tease Elena, but I'm good. If nobody here wants me to do math, I'll keep doing questions. If there's anybody here that wants me to do math, just say, hey, yes, I'd love to do some math, and then let me know what type of math you want me to go. Carl, you said yes, a way I remember that is I can't factually find out how much something costs to say to build a cabinet fit. Exactly, Carl. That's a great way. What are you going to go into your time machine and ask the contractor how much it would charge? You can't figure out what it was going to be then. You can only figure out what it's going to be now. I love that, Carl. I'm going to use that in my teachings. I'm still that. Mm-hmm. I'm stealing that one. That is a great way to think about it. All right. Any thoughts? Somebody wants me to do math. Say, you want to do discount points. Yes, I know you want to do discount points. I know you do, Elena. And I don't mind. I don't mind because, guys, even if you're in California, you will get questions about discount points. They just are not going to ask you to do the math. So I might as well do some discount points, make sure everybody understands them. And something that somebody brought up the other day, you get confused with acreage, like the questions around 1/8 of a mile by 1/8 of a mile. Okay, let's start with that, Carl. And Elena, not that I don't love you, but I know I've done the discount points before. Let's talk about this. Acreage. Acreage. And we know that there are 43,560 square feet in an acre, right? And we know that the other number you need to know is how many feet are in a mile. 5280, which is 5 tomatoes, right? 5280, 5280, 5 tomatoes. Right? So 1/8 of a mile, that means if you have a piece of property, it's ugly. That is 1/8 of a mile here by 1/8 of a mile here. We got to find an eighth of 5280. So we're going to take 5280 and divide it by 8. Because remember, 1/8 is saying, hey, let's split this into 8, that is an 8, even pieces. So 1/8, that looks like it says 7, doesn't it? It is 8 even pieces is what that reads. So 5280 divided by 8 means you'd have 660 feet here and 660 feet here. And remember, guys, if it's just 1, it's feet. But if it's 2, that's inches. All right? Oh, can I share the drawing? Y'all wanted to see what I was drawing? Okay. Why? Sorry, guys. I thought I had. I was just going along. That's why y'all got to be in the Zoom room with me. That's why I need you in the Zoom room with me because I was just going for it. So let's do all that again. Boom. Doesn't hurt to see again. We got acreage. 43,560 square feet, right? We got a mile, which is 5,280 feet, right? And I could have put that little thing there, which you can remember by the saying 5 tomatoes. So it's 5, 2, 8, 0, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I bless my heart. Y'all know I'm a little slow. And Tricks, no worries, no worries. Somebody said 640. Well, remember, 640 is the number of acres in a section, right? Because we know a section, we have a township. So this big whole thing is the township. And then you have 36 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, you got 6 that way, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so boop, boop. It's not, but you get the point. So there's 36 sections, and every section has 640 acres. Right? That's where the 640 comes. Why is it 5280? That's because it is. That is a mile. A mile is 5280. That is, why is a dozen 12? Cause it said so. It's just uh, it is 5,280 feet because they said so. All right, that's a great question. I mean, I I'm sure there's a logical reason in history why a mile is 5,280 feet. I don't know what the answer is, but because I said so. That's why. So what you had said, Carl, is you get confused when you have something that says, hey, it's 1/8 of a mile by 1/8 of a mile. Well, what we want to do is find, well, if it's 1/8 of 5,280 feet, then I'm going to take 5,280 feet and divide by 8, and that's what gave me 660. Let's see, make sure I did that right. 5280 divided by 8 is 660. Not to be confused with 640. Those are two different numbers. This is 660 feet. Because 1/8 of a mile is 660 feet. So this would be 660 feet. So if I was trying to find the area, it's equal to length times width, which would be area is equal to 660 by 660. So your total area would be 435,600, which is literally 10 acres. Yep. Like an acre. Yeah, I would know the mile. I would. You're thinking of a shark massage make believe tattoos. I mean, that's an interesting question, Trix. If you were to go in there and you had tattooed stuff on you, is that cheating? If it's a tattoo? I don't know. But there you go. All right. Let's see. I think we wanted points. So just as a review of points, 1 point is equal to the cost of 1% of the loan amount, and 1 point is used to lower an interest rate by 1/8 of a percent. There you go. Oh, you're welcome, Carl. So think about it. If you get offered a 6% loan and you go, I don't want 6%. They're going to tell you, all right, pay us 1 point. So let's say that the loan was for $350,000. Well, times 1%, that is how much? 350,000 times 1%, that's $3,500. So if you pay them $3,500, you get to go 1/8 less. So that means it would be 5 7/8. Because think about it on a counting line. It would be 5 7/8. Or do it this way. 1/8, if I put it into the calculator, 1 divided by 8 equals 0.125. Because I paid $3,500, I get to knock off 0.125%. And then if I do another point, I'd have to pay another point. I'd pay another $3,500 and it would be another 0.125. So I would do 6 minus 0.125 minus 0.125, which would be 5.75%. Either of those would get you to the answer. So a math question might say, Candace wants a loan at 6.5%, but the bank offered her 7%. How many points will she need to pay? And I'll say the loan was for $125,000. Well, step one, 125,000 times 1% is $1,250. That's the cost of 1 point. That's the cost. The second thing we need to figure out is, well, what does that mean? So I am at 7 and I want 6.5%. I need to know how many points between here and here. Well, you could do this one of two ways. I'm going to do it this way first. If you pay 1 point, you'll knock off 0.125. If you pay another point, you'll knock off 0.125. So if you take 7 and you subtract 0.125, you would be at 6.875. If you pay another point, you knock off another 0.125, and that gets you at 6.75. That's not where I want to be. So then I'm going to pay another point, and that's going to get me to, let's see, 0.125. That's 6.25. And then I would pay another point. And that would give me another minus 0.125, 6.5. So yes, 1/8 is the yield. Because remember, yield is like when you make cookies and you look at the recipe and it'll say, oh, this will yield 6 dozen cookies. That's a big recipe. Yield is how much somebody takes away. So basically, in this instance, if you pay 1, 2, 3, 4 points, the bank is going to charge you 6.5%, but they're collecting all of this money. So it would be $1,250 times 4. All right. $1,250 times 4 would be $5,000. They're adding $5,000 to all the other interest over the 30 years. That's what we mean by yield. Yield what somebody walks away with. Does that kind of help, Elena? I'm hoping so. All right. Any other math that you all wanted me to do? Any other math? And don't forget, just as a reminder, if you want to be in the Zoom room and be able to talk to me, you're going to email me at CandaceEllis@gmail. And then why don't you, in the subject line, write Zoom link. Okay, that's supposed to say link Doot, 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 doot. Zoom link. And I will send it to you. And it will always stay the same. Anything else? All right, I know I said I was going to stay extra, y'all, today, but I have a friend visiting from out of town, and I want to go spend time with them. So make sure, oh, you want to do an LTV? I can do an LTV very quickly, Elena. So an LTV stands for loan to value ratio. Because sometimes you'll see it called an LTVR or an LVR, like they'll do it, right? So what we are comparing the loan amount to the value. So let's say the value of the house is $200,000. What is 100% of $200,000? It's $200,000. Just like if I said what's 50% of 200,000? There we go. Doot, doot. Would be $100,000. Right? So what we're doing is if you have a value of $200,000, we're asking ourselves, how much of a loan is needed? How much money do you have to put down? So if you could go to the bank and say, hey, I want to borrow 70% of the value. So that means you're borrowing $200,000 times 70%. 200,000 times 70%. That's $140,000. Well, if 100,000, I mean, you think about it, $140,000 is 70% of 200. 50% was 150,000. Well, 100% of it is 200,000. We are literally comparing the difference between the value and the loan itself, right? How do I need to borrow all of the value? Do I need to borrow a little bit of the value? So I don't know if that helps, Miss Elena. But here's what I do know, Miss Elena, and I know you're ready for this. I know you are. I know you know this. And I don't mind going over it because I love doing it. But I also want you to start having some confidence. Elena, you got this, man. You got this. And we will do a proration problem at the end on Wednesday. Just remind me when we start, say, hey, Candace, you said you do a proration problem. Otherwise, email me because I would love to have you all in the Zoom room so I'm not talking to myself. And I think that's it. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Thank you guys. You know, smooches. I love doing this with you. Hey, we learned some stuff today. We had some hard questions. It is not just all, go do it. I would have been stumped on those questions too. You feel ready, but you've been failing the test. I know, Trix. We're going to get you there. We're going to get all of you there. We're going to get there. So, all right, guys, I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Don't do anything I would do. And yay, Trix, I'm excited you'll be in the next Zoom. Bye, everybody. Be good, or at least don't get caught.